All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty Nefaro, seen only here out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, Long Island. We are honored to have the legend, Mr. Mark the Hammer Coleman. Can we call you the godfather of UFC, sir?
Just don't call me the grandfather.
Yeah.
I get that all the time now.
What?
By the way, I am digging the beard.
Yeah.
I am digging it.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks
like
good.
that, man.
Yeah.
It looks good.
And the shades, by the way.
Yeah.
The shades.
Well represented.
Sage, Shays, and a cheap beard.
So before we have at it, do you want to weigh in this whole Hulk Hogan racism double standard?
No, look, you guys do a great job over there. By the way, you're very, smooth.
Thank you, sir.
Just
Well,
saying,
thank you.
I enjoy listening to you guys. You guys are smooth, but nah, I think I'm just gonna stay out of that. I do know Mark Henry. I mean, he was on. He made the '92 Olympic team,
Sure.
weightlifting, and I was on the wrestling team, so we actually did hang out a little bit.
There you go.
Way back then.
There you go.
Well, again, this isn't against Mark Henry, right?
at all.
But,
No.
You know, and for me personally, I don't see
at
color,
all.
but I do see double standard, and it is a problem with me, right? Again, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about animals, but I think, racism and speciesism are on the same level, in my opinion, so I don't know.
Well, you got to forgive both guys. Both guys need to apologize. Michael Vick and Hulk Hogan, they already did.
Right. Right.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
How many times you gonna, come on?
Right. Right. It keeps coming back on the internet. That's the only reason we brought it up tonight on, for topic. But,
So
geez.
you look great. You came off would we call it a massive heart attack with last year?
I don't know what's massive mean. I mean,
Massive, from what was explained to me, massive is any time you have more than an 80% blockage
100% blockage.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty
in your
massive.
artery, like
Huh?
when your arteries are blocked.
My artery was blocked, stuffed to the gill. I didn't know I had one. I knew something wasn't right. It happened like at 7 o'clock at night, and I just thought it was going to go away. My arms weren't feeling right. Something just wasn't feeling right, and then about 2 a.m. I started getting a little bit concerned, and called my daughters, and they told me to get my ass to the hospital. And I thought I was going to go there. I thought they were going to run some tests on me, and they're going to send me back home. No, they went in there and took a look, and it was big old artery too, man. The biggest artery, and mine was bigger than most people's, and it was just stuffed. They tried to unclog it. And it was so stuffed they couldn't. So then they're gonna put me on blood thinners and come back and try it again in a month. But then the next morning, some of my levels went up, and they said we're gonna have to go back in and try it again. And then when they're in there trying to dig out the clot. Well, you're awake, and it's like it's giving you a heart attack. That's what it feels like. You're like, ugh. And it was very, it was not comfortable and very stressful because I'm just sitting there praying that, and finally I heard the doctor say, "Oh yeah," something like that, meaning he got a little chunk out, and then he was able to get. He was able to get it all out, clear it all out, and they didn't have to put a stent in for some reason. I don't know, but they said my artery was so big they would have had to get a special stent,
Like a super stent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they didn't have to put one in, and just trying to live a little cleaner.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a legitimate tough guy, right? Actually, a very scary guy, too, man. I mean, tough, kick anyone's ass. After you have something like a heart attack, does that kind of like weigh on you, or like kind of feel, you kind of feel a little less than a man type of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been 3 months.
Is it getting better, I would hope?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great, but at the time, it's still in my head.
Yeah, sure.
It's in my head.
Sure.
Sometimes I can feel chest pain. I get all freaked out,
Get scared.
But
Yeah. It's a mortality check, man. It's got to be
well, yeah, you nailed it.
It's got to be hard.
Does it make you feel less of a man? Yeah, kind of.
Understood.
Totally understand. And again, I'm a heart attack survivor myself.
Yeah.
We spoke about that before the show.
Think about it a lot, don't you?
I think about it all the time. First of all, I think about how lucky I am to
Yeah.
be here on the earth. And I will tell you on a personal level, obviously I didn't know you, but we pretty much had heart attacks at the same time. I was in the hospital and I was reading about you.
Oddly enough.
And, you know, I could almost say that you were an inspiration too, right? And meeting you, I feel like you're an inspiration. I just like your approach and the way you are as a human being. So God bless. I'm glad you're still with us. And again, I know how it feels. You don't feel like the same. And
It's different.
we're scared. We're humans, right? We want to live. We got families to live for. But on a positive note, we're glad you're here on Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, and we're glad you shared with us, Farrell.
All right, let's go back to the very beginning about you getting your start in MMA. If I can say this, just coming from studying up on you for the last at least couple of weeks, you got into this game at the age of 31.
Yeah.
I have to. While your timing historically is perfect, you are the first UFC champion. Your timing is perfect.
Perfect timing.
Did you ever wonder about what it would have been like to have been on that level in your 20s doing this? Because to me, it's like, man, I really wonder what it would have been like to have you doing that in a UFC level, like, during your 20s. How does it get started with MMA for you?
I was 31, but I was still in my prime.
Absolutely.
I was still a world-class wrestler.
Absolutely.
Almost made I made 92 Olympic team.
Right.
96, I beat Kurt Angle in 1995. I beat Kurt Angle. And he was the world champion that year.
Hello.
I came out of retirement because my club told me, you got to wrestle, Coleman, or we ain't going to send you your check anymore. So I showed up at the Sunkist Open. I hadn't wrestled in like a year and a half. Kurt Angle was kind of taking over the weight class. Mark Kerr and Kurt Angle were battling out after I left. I was in my prime and I blew it. I wasted those years. But, I went out there and I beat Kurt Angle without even hardly any training at all. And then, but what am I going to do, man? What am I going to do? I'm sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? There ain't no money in amateur wrestling. None. And then sure enough, I